EverReady SkyLeader transistor radio on the bench for repair and resurrection. Not actually this one. This is the one I bought to fix, because I haven't fixed one of these. I thought it would be an interesting challenge. And then I was hunting around in the Empire of Dirt down in the shed and found I had this one instead. No idea where this one came from, but this is an older one. Let's just have a... This one's also actually very broken. So this is details of serial number, etc. on there. Hinges are broken. Don't remember where this one came from, but this one uses socketed transistors and no PCB. There's tag strip, a bit of steel or aluminium, socketed transistors, of which there's two missing. In fact, there's one down in the case, which is missing a leg. And I think I know what's happened here. From a bit of reading around, these transistors in the sockets, the collector was actually soldered on the back side of the board. So if someone's gone in here, pulled the transistor out, they will have pulled the collector off, which looks exactly like what's happened. Yeah. Red spot, collector, and there's a pin which has snapped off. So first things first is probably going to be try to find some replacement transistors, see what I can do with this. I know very little about this set, so I don't actually even remember owning it, so we'll see how this goes. So even before hunting for transistors, I've spotted there's some other issues with this radio. If we zoom down a bit, we have a disconnected antenna coil wire. Is this one okay? Yeah, this one's okay. And over here on the end of the ferrite, we also have another disconnected wire, which looks like it probably went here. Should probably have gone to the capacitor, but doesn't. Looking down at these transistor sockets, we can see where that transistor came out of. There's a snapped off wire still in the socket, and just checking the volume control. Adjusting the volume control makes the whole radio, this audio PCB shift about, because there's a missing screw down here. So somebody has obviously been inside this radio before me. So let's see what we can do. Back with it partially disassembled. I mean, this radio is absolutely filthy. There's just a load of fluff and crud and stuff. Not quite as bad as the old Danset 222 that had a snail that needed to be evicted, but this one, I'm not quite sure what this is, but there's a lot of it. Getting to this stage, two screws had to come out here and here. They look like this, just longish sort of screws, which go down into these posts, and the knobs come off. The variable capacitor knob, it feels like that's not metal, but I don't quite know. Might just be rusty. The volume control came off fairly easily. A little bit of a levering needed. So apart from filthy, what else can I tell about this radio? lay it down and have a look. I need to invest in some way to hold this phone so I can video more easily rather than holding it by hand. Yeah, underneath. Pretty standard point-to-point wiring. I know the other one of these I've got, which I showed first off, uses a PCB, but this is all point-to-point wiring. So it's going to make it interesting. I can't get the audio board out yet. There's something else holding this up. I was hoping all of this will sort of come out, but not happening yet. I'll come back when it's there. And I've figured out what's holding it up. It's this speaker wire. So the speaker either needs to come out, or these need to be disconnected, and then this board will pop out. Quick spot of desoldering later. Just took the two leads off of the speaker. There was an extension lead someone had added for the external antenna, and also the ground lead here. I took those off. The chassis as it is comes out fairly easily. The speaker looks like it's probably okay. I'll try it with a signal generator or something and just check it sounds okay, but the cone feels good. There is a small tear in the cone. Maybe just fix that with a bit of speaker dope, but we'll see. Let's see if the radio works at all first. So, radio chassis now out. Note keeping, this was the external antenna input. This was external antenna ground. Battery connections, of which there's a battery snap missing, and speaker connections. What can we see? Well, it's a 6 transistor radio, and we're missing first transistor, second transistor. We've got a third transistor in there. This is the audio pre-driver, and then we have 2 more transistors. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So all transistors are accounted for, even if they're not present. What else is there to see? Back at the radio we have a lot of switches which look like they're probably silver plated. They've gone discoloured, but not, yeah, I suspect these switches are silver plated. I don't know, they just have that sort of look about them. So silver oxide goes dark, but silver oxide is still conductive, so it's pretty good stuff. Resistors, let's zoom in on these. These are a treat. Yeah, definitely some old school resistors, and then I don't know, this looks significantly more modern. It does make me think somebody else has been in here before me, done something. There is our detector diode hiding just down there, and we have some electrolytic capacitors, various resistors, a couple more caps. Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. Let's see what we can do. Let's check the tuning capacitor. Doesn't appear to be shorting. There's a slow motion drive, but the clutch seems to be slipping a bit. So, but it doesn't look like we've got any shorting on the capacitor, which is good. Can't hear any grinding. So, need to go through and figure out what's happened here. I knew if I looked long enough I'd turn up the proper transistor tester rather than the cheap Chinesian model I've been using. I mean, the good thing is this is just transistors, well, any sort of semiconductor. This will also test capacitors, resistors and things. There's a use for both, but I do prefer this one for actually testing transistors. Anyway, testing transistors. We've got this one out. This was a transistor that was here. Second IF stage. It's an OC45. Let's see what it is. If it's any good. It's a silicon PNP. I thought all the OCs were germanium. Okay, let's see what else we know about it. Got the pin out, great. Pretty low gain. No leakage. Okay, so it's a good transistor. I need to go through and check what the other one should be. I was expecting them to be germanium in this. Yeah, it looks like probably 10 minutes reading in the library would have saved me several hours at the workbench. I thought I was right the first time round. OC45 is a germanium PNP transistor. So I'm not quite sure why this, which is usually incredibly reliable, was reporting it as silicon. It could be that this transistor has an issue. The main difference seems to be the threshold voltage for switching on, or the base emitter voltage, 0.6 for silicon transistors and less for germanium. So I think I'm going to have to find, I might just find replacements for everything. Well, certainly for everything in the RF stage, and work through from there. So checking out transistors, I found my box of old crap transistors. Basically everything here is germanium. This radio wants an OC44 as the oscillator, so I think I've got some OC44s. Yep, OC44. I'll test this out and check it's any good. Come on, focus. Not going to focus, but anyway, yeah, OC44. The next two transistors should be OC45s. I don't think I've got any of those. That's more OC44s. What's this? This is an unlabeled, just a white spot on it. Any markings have long since worn off. So I'll keep digging. It's a rare enough one for the UK. An NTK, New Market Transistors. 1, 2, 8. Sort of okay for audio. AC 1 to 8, I think is what they turned into. What's this one? What is this? A Philco? I can't read the part number on that. Too good for this radio anyway. I'll keep digging, see what I can come up with and give them a test. If the evidence wasn't good enough already that someone's been in this radio before me, this is how they made the connection to the battery snap. I was just checking this out before I put power on. There was a wire there. They appear to have just cut it and then done a twist repair. So I'll solder that back. The negative end, so nothing done to it, it's just bare. I've blobbed in just a little test speaker from some scrap radio. It's just easier to do the testing with a small speaker rather than get the whole chassis back. 2 OC44s in place, just flapping around in the breeze at the moment. No idea if they're actually making proper contact in the sockets. We shall find out. Corrosion on the battery snap was just too far gone. Couldn't even solder to it using some acidic core flux solder. Just wasn't going. I keep a small roll of the stuff that's supposed to be able to solder to aluminium around for just doing a occasional jobs on something really corroded, then clean the flux up and you can generally solder to it, but it's not working in this case. So we need a good wire brushing or something, but it's easier to just snip it off, tin the end of the wire and put 9 volts on, see what happens. So the radio's taking about 5 milliamps at 9 volts and makes a bit of a hiss as you adjust the volume, and stops hissing when you stop adjusting the volume. So the pot is definitely crunchy. It was very loose, so again I think someone's definitely been in this radio before me, so who knows what they've done to it. Waggling the transistors doesn't seem to change the noise level, so I think next thing is make some voltage measurements, see if those transistors are actually doing anything useful. Should probably confirm that this wire does belong on this capacitor as well. So just confirming connections, it does look like the connection from the end of the antenna coil goes to the capacitor. So got this soldered back in. There was enough broken wire left soldered that I was able to just bridge the gap with it. It's a bit of a messy job, but it's making contact, so it'll do. Next thing is, so the radio is currently powered up. Again, if I adjust the volume control, you get some scratchiness. It's certainly not working. It's on medium wave at the moment, and in my area, Radio 5 Live, you can literally receive it on a diode and a crystal earpiece. You don't need anything else. Tuning around, it's still nothing. Radio's drawing about 5.5 milliamps, and I noticed that it does that whether these transistors are in or not. It makes no difference. So my guess is they weren't making contact. Does it change if I pull out the final transistor? No, makes no difference. If any of these transistors are in place as to the radio's current draw. So my guess is the audio stage is doing everything at the moment, and nothing else is really happening. Get down to 3 milliamps if I pull out the driver transistor. So something's happening. I've got to get it back in the right place now. I haven't got it in the right place because the current's no good. Yeah, plugging the transistor back in with a click and back up to near enough 6 milliamps, 5.75 milliamps. So, voltage measurements. Done a bit more fiddling around with this radio. A couple other things that needed doing. Someone's definitely been inside before. There were screws missing from here, which meant the whole audio board flapped around and would occasionally make a bad connection down here and start oscillating. So I've just put a couple of self-tapping sheet metal screw things from an old PC case in there. It will do for now till I find something better. Only other thing so far, I've tacked in a transistor. I don't think these transistor sockets are much good, so I've just tacked in a transistor on the opposite side. Expecting 7.2 volts on the collector, getting about 8 volts at the moment. So something's probably drifted, probably one of these resistors. But I'll keep probing around to see what I get. Right, making some progress. Gave up trying to make the transistors fit in the sockets, so I've soldered in just 3 transistors on the backs of the sockets for now. So with a radio off, 0 current. If I go, I think this is medium wave. There's a dodgy switch here. I get some noise. And some more noise. It sounds like it's trying to do radio things. Well, if this is medium wave, so I should be able to pick up Radio 5 live, just with a diode and a crystal earpiece. So I mean, it's radio. It's doing something. It's obviously not great. Oh, got a second station there. I think that probably is Radio 5 live. Yeah, I'm right at the end of the tuning range, so this is going to need alignment. I also need to figure out what's wrong with this switches here. There's also still a wire on the back, on the front side of the radio, on the coil that needs sorting out. Voltages on all the transistors were slightly high. The emitter voltages all a bit higher than probably should be, but yeah, I'll take this as a win so far and keep working on it. I was waiting for some deoxit to come in for cleaning up these contacts, but in the meantime I found this ancient stuff. Stock number from RS, don't know if they still sell it. No idea what's in it, but it seems to have done the trick. It cleaned up these contacts sufficiently that the radio turns on. I gave the volume pot a quick clean as well, and it actually seems to have done a pretty good job. Definitely lubricated it and reduced the noise. As a bit of a stress test for the radio, I was listening to a friend's album release listening party on this, so I've had a lash up transmitter on the PC just transmitting the medium wave, and had the radio tuned in on that. An interesting lo-fi experience as a way to listen to an album, but now it's doing something. I can go through and finish off sort of getting it ready. I did go through, check some of the resistors. They all seem to be roughly within spec. This capacitor is totally open. This capacitor seems to be intermittent. These two seem okay. There's still a bit of a squeal which comes through, and I suspect there's a decoupling capacitor somewhere which is not decoupling anymore. And it's a case of go through and align it. The alignment is well off. I'd picked a clear part of the medium wave band and for listening to the album, and the tuning was absolutely way off, so I tweaked one of the trimmers on the other side of the board just to bring it in, but yeah, the whole thing's way off. The IF is a bit crap as well, so work in progress, but we'll get back to it and hopefully get somewhere soon.